What is going on? I'm zmoT. We're going to do some goodness when it comes to the imitation game. My apologies first off. I totally forgot about the beauty of time zones. I'm about an hour late. I totally screwed that up yesterday with War Factory. Didn't even clue in at that point. Just going to quickly collect all of the diamonds off my map. One of the tasks I do every day. We're going to make sure we collect our submarine, send it off on a quick dive, and then we'll get into the meat of the video. What I'm going to try to do today, try my best to do today, is do all of the things as best as I can. And sometimes I like to do ridiculous things or silly things or not scout. We're going to try and do everything properly today, and I'm going to try and point out some things that people do wrong, less optimally. Anyways, we're going to get into this, try and do things perfectly, maybe have a few learning moments. We're going to scout even on stage 1, HQ level 11. Should be able to take this down without a lot of difficulty. We're going to use a barrage here because there are lots of mines. Otherwise, using a barrage is not the best option because ideally 2 artillery is cheaper, but in this case, that's a better thing. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drop all my flags way, way, way up high. That is one of the mistakes I see people make very, very often, is they drop their flags down at the bottom of the beach, and then they're not using their flags as a free flare. So please, please realize that wherever you place those flags, your troops will walk to unless they're hit by a shock launcher or a shock blaster. So please, please use those flags to your advantage. They are free, they are easy, they are good, and there's nothing bad about using flags. Flags are very, very helpful, and they save you some GBE. I see people where they drop all their flags down here and then flare up to here, and it's incredibly frustrating. So please use those flags, get them up into the proximity of a building so your troops are anchored there. Obviously, let's have a look here. Hopefully we can show what that looks like. Otherwise, so yeah, what we're going to do here is I'll show you by using flags without an anchor. So you see how there's no buildings within, I think Zookas have like a 6 or 7 tile radius. I think it's somewhere in that general vicinity. If we drop our flags, I said I was going to do everything properly, but here's an example of me doing things poorly intentionally. If we drop all of our flags up here, and then we drop a smoke on them, hoping for our troops to stand there, they're not going to stand there. They're going to start walking. So that's going to be the death of some Zookas if we didn't use the flare. So you need an anchor point. Zookas only do one of 2 things. Either they walk or they shoot. So right now, they're in position to shoot. So they're going to stay underneath that smoke. If they're not in position to shoot, they're going to start walking and bad things are going to happen. And we're going to have to throw some med kits on top of these guys. And, or these ladies, I should say, losing 0 troops in the process. So use those flags and be aware that you need to anchor your troops. That goes for all troops. Warriors, Zookas, tanks, they all need to be anchored to something. The only thing that's not are medics and Kavan. They're just going to stand around and have a little tea party. So now, what can we do on this one? So same sort of idea. What we need to do here is I'm actually going to do this properly. I am terrible at this. This is one of those things that's do as I say, not as I do. 2 artillery only costs us 8 GBE. Using a barrage costs 10, so we're going to save a little bit of GBE in the process. And then one more time, we're going to use our flag drop. Use that flag way, way, way up the beach, and then drop your smoke at the last second. Get your troops to stay put, and then we're going to walk in behind. Now, Zookas are a great, great troop, but they're not always the right troop for the base. I am going to be using Zookas for this just because my troop choices are a little bit limited because I only have like level 11 warriors and low level medics and all that sort of stuff. But obviously, if you have instant training, maybe Zookas aren't the right choice for you. It really, really does depend on your troop levels and your abilities with those troops and all that sort of stuff. But I'm going to be using Zookas because I am most comfortable with them. Obviously, if you're more comfortable with tanks or medics or whatever it might be, by all means use those as well. Now, we can tell these are new fancy imitation game stages because they have the snowflakes and the crab statues right in here. Stone statues so far, stages 1 through 3. The fact that they're HQ 16 and only got a stone statue means they're probably playing fairly casually. Now, if we used a flag drop in here, we'd have a bad time. So we're going to use a side drop. And now, as far as places to place your troops, please try to get into the blind spots of rocket launchers, especially if you're using squishy troops, as they like to be called. So what we're going to do here is clear a nice little hidey hole right in here for our Zookas to stand, hopefully using... You know what? Let's just leave that boom cannon. Now, in this case, we want to use a flare drop. Because what it's going to do is it's going to let us group our troops nice and close and tight and happy and all that sort of stuff. And then we don't need to use a second flare at this point, because they're all going to walk in the general same vicinity. We can wait a little bit. They're nice and grouped. And then once they get past there, we can flare them to right about here is where I'm going to put them, just to make sure they stay nice and tight, and then drop brick nice and late. By dropping brick nice and late, you don't have to worry about your troops getting, or brick getting ahead, or your smoke not covering your troops. We're just going to keep nice, tidy smokes. Brick might give away the delay, but at least she's catching up, and as you can see there, she's already caught up to that back Zooka, and things are looking fairly good. We're going to do 2 smokes into the endpoint. 2 smokes into the endpoint basically guarantees that your troops are not going to leak, and they'll stay there nice and tidy until you flare something and get them moving. I like to throw my flares basically as late as possible, because it guarantees that your troops are going to walk exactly where you want. They're not going to walk out of the smoke. It just means that you need to go flare, shock, shock, shock. And it makes it nice and tidy and happy, and your troops stay alive, and we still have yet to lose a troop because we're scouting and doing things carefully and all that sort of fun stuff. Just a reminder, if you click attack before you've scouted, you can always go through and scout and look for mines behind things until you select some sort of gunboat ability. And then if, for example, I select the artillery here, because we want to get rid of this mine and these mines over here, you can then select your hero, and then you can come back. I thought you could. No, so we can't actually do it. If you know of a way to actually to do more scouting after the fact, please do let me know. I thought we could select the hero or the troops, but it looks like that isn't the case. So now that that's done, this Doom Cannon is going to be wrecking some troops, so we're going to use a side drop. Thankfully, we don't have to walk terribly far. I like to use a side drop here. We could have used a flag drop because we cleared so many mines, but using a side drop lets us guarantee that our troops are going to get nice and close together, and we can also make sure that brick gets dropped a little bit later on, that way allowing us to get our troops walking where we want to get them walking. Drop those smokes as late as you possibly can, while still keeping the troops underneath them, and just... There's so many basics here. I apologize. There's a ton of things that a lot of you are probably saying, all of this is obvious. But if you ever watched some low-level attacks, you know that this stuff, obvious stuff, is not super obvious. See how they would have leaked back there? So throwing those last 2 smokes, always a good idea. And then just medkits. Medkits, 0 troops lost through 5 stages, even with that shock blaster starting to shoot us in the face, and some boosted ice back there. So a little bit of scouting goes a long way. I know I am terrible at scouting. I tend to just attack and then hit a random mine and lose all my troops. But scouting goes a long way. Now, base like this, for example, we have 2 rocket launchers. We can sit right between them, not have to shock either of them. Makes things very easy. We could also go back in here. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to get rid of I need to get rid of all of these mines and this mine. They're only level 9, so by scouting we realize don't really care about these mines. Someone's got HQ 20 with level 9 mines. They are missing out on a ton of free intel and diamonds, because honestly, mines give a ton of intel and diamonds, so the fact that this person has not upgraded their mines is a fairly major mistake, I feel like. Let me know if you guys have upgraded your mines or not. Now, I said previously that you can use all your flags up to the top. Another way to do it is actually to get all of your troops in a nice straight line. And what that's going to do is because there's no actual anchor there, it allows us to get our troops in a nice straight line and then use a flare to get them walking, which means that we don't have to use that front flare, and we actually save a little bit of GBE in the process. I'm going to go like this because I want to get over into here. in between those rocket launchers means that we're not going to have to shock them. And then I can flare into here, and we're probably going to lose some troops here. I would say it's very, very unlikely that we don't lose a troop here. So, lost a total of, I think that's 7 Zookas on stage 6. Not bad at all. They've got some boosted ice in behind. Just strange layout, having boosted ice with resource reward and low-level mines and all that sort of stuff. So, speaking of things that you should do carefully, please ask about the upgrade order. There is a well-known upgrade order that makes the game so much easier. Please ask. It's documented. A lot of the smart brains on Reddit and Discord and all of the task forces that I've played with have come up with this upgrade order, and it works, and it makes your life just so much easier. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm actually going to switch my troops up a little bit. We're going to switch to Heavy-Zooka. One of the things that I do fairly often, and I'm guilty of, and later on in the game it becomes a problem, is a lot of times will walk back between these rocket launchers, and by doing that you've used somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 17 extra GBE and smokes. By coming right where this machine gun is, we save a bunch of GBE, which gives us a whole bunch of extra shocks and things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch to some heavies and some Zookas, and by using Heavy-Zookas we can save a bunch of GBE and make this attack much more manageable. By walking to the back, it's going to cost more GBE, it's going to be more touch and go. By using Heavy-Zooka, our heavies are going to clear some mines for us. Probably not a ton of mines, just because they don't tend to get out front for the shore stuff, so we're going to clear those mines. Hopefully our heavies are going to clear those mines. Sorry, I'm a bit stuffed up at the moment. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. And we're going to use artillery to get rid of this machine gun. And now we're limited on GBE. So if we had to walk back here, we probably would have run out of GBE. But what we're going to do here, actually, we got a little bit lucky here because we don't have to smoke the shore. We're going to go heavy, nice line of Zookas in behind. And now dropping that smoke, getting our troops up and into position. We're going to walk them up to here. By having the heavies out front, using those flags to our advantage, we should be able to get all of these troops underneath without having to worry about what are those things called? The mines. We're going to flare backwards, we're going to flare forwards, and that's one of the things that I've seen a lot of people do very poorly, is they recommend using like 3 smokes at the core for Heavy-Zooka. Just use 1 flare. Once they get into that smoke, see how much extra GBE we have left over just because we didn't walk all the way back there. Use that back flare to keep them underneath the smoke, build that separation between your heavies and Zookas, and then hit the core. So I know a lot of my videos, basically all of my videos, are focused on Zookas, but Heavy-Zooka is a great troop to master. It just takes a little bit more time to master because there's different speeds between the troops. They take up more space underneath smoke, and you need to worry about back flares and forward flares and all that. So I'm just going to show that last attack one more time because there were a few things that I don't see people do. And let's start at the very beginning, obviously clearing mines. Clear the mines at the shore. If we leave the mines at the shore, the heavies are not going to have enough space between the heavies and the Zookas to clear them. And then make a nice little hidey hole. You'll notice that my artillery were in the corner of that machine gun, so that if the sniper tower is hiding a mine, it's not going to be a problem. Now, I'm going to pause it as soon as I actually drop my flags here. Come on. See those flags? Heavies are in front of the Zookas. Get the heavies out to the front. And you'll notice we didn't use any smoke to cover the heavies because none of the bad danger stuff, the doom cannons, the shock blasters, the shock launchers, nothing covers shore. So those heavies getting shot, not a big deal. And then as soon as they get there, drop that smoke. Zookas get in that nice straight line, and we get them walking. So, little simple things that will make your Heavy-Zooka attacks. Like, look at the gap between our heavies and Zookas there. Huge gap, so those mines don't touch our Zookas at all. Getting all of our troops underneath that 1 smoke. Please don't use 3 smokes at the core for Heavy-Zooka. Unless you're doing an operation attack, then it's a bit different. Back flare to create some separation, get those heavies out front, and then boom. very, like, basically nothing is attacking our Zookas except for this boom cannon back here and this cannon, which we don't really care about. All that's doing is killing one Zooka at a time. And boom! HQ 18 XP 46 taking down a max level base that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ice statues without any difficulties, without any boosts. So Heavy-Zooka is a great troop to learn. Not loon, but learn. If you have any questions or comments on things that I did or didn't do that maybe I made a mistake or I misspoke, please do add it to the comments. Or if you see other issues that people make, I would love to see those in the comments as well, because I'm not the only learning resource here. There are tons and tons of smart people who watch my videos, who comment on my videos, and please always check the comment section, because yes, there are some silly, ridiculous threads, which is great, but there's also some comments on what I did wrong, what I can do better, and what people see, and all that sort of stuff. So anyways, that's it for me. I'm zmoT. This is Imitation Game for November the 8th. There is a long weekend this weekend for anyone in certain parts of Canada, which is a bit strange. Yes, in some provinces we have a long weekend, in others they don't. So have a great long weekend, all of you who are having a long weekend, and if you're not, then sorry to hear that. Anyways, as always, thanks for coming in. I'm zmoT. Peace!